everyone, it's Beauty Revolution here, and I want to talk about a certain topic that's been on my mind for a while. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you have probably seen the viral StephCo video about how she was talking about how pretty privilege really is a thing, and she was right about it. Now, I'm not sure if you know about her previous video that she had released about 4 years ago when she spoke about not having pretty privilege and that sucking, right? Okay, so I am not here to dismantle anything that she said. I'm not here to take away from her experiences. I think her experiences are valid for her, and that's fine. But what I do want to talk about was how she was viewing her pretty privilege or her attractiveness. And I couldn't help but notice that when it comes to a lot of this, I don't have pretty privilege content, it's always centered around the male gaze and the male point of view. So if you have been watching my channel for a while, or if you haven't, I would ask you to go and check out my pretty privilege playlist, okay? Because in that playlist, I have said multiple times that pretty privilege does not end or begin with men, okay? You can use your attractiveness or character with women as well, okay? So it's not this thing that's a male owned thing. Like, men don't own the rights to pretty privilege. Is it easier to use with men? Perhaps, because there is that factor of jealousy, and they are less likely to at least overtly be jealous of you as a woman, even though I think a lot of men are jealous of women, but that's for another video. And in this space on my channel, I'm very decentered of men, especially the male gaze. And I couldn't help but think that I wonder if she ever was able to achieve any opportunities aside from how men perceived her. And I feel like she probably mentioned this, especially in her last video, about how not having pretty privilege has not stopped anybody from being in a relationship, getting job opportunities, and things like that. And I can do nothing but agree with that, okay? Pretty privilege is not the end all be all for living a good life, finding a good partner, and being happy, right? But one thing was just the male centeredness. Like, I want to ask, why do we always see our beauty as something that has to be measured by the male gaze? I've made several videos about not caring about the male gaze at all, and how women tend to be more attractive to other women. I feel like women look at women as human beings rather than objects. And so men look at women in order to categorize them and objectify them, really. And that's why only a certain type of woman really gets away with pretty privilege, right? And so I say that as somebody who does receive pretty privilege. But as somebody who does receive pretty privilege, I can tell you that it's not like, the only thing, that happens, right? It's not the only thing that is going to sway somebody's decision when it comes to like a certain opportunity, right? And a lot of the opportunities that she mentioned were pretty shallow, right? So we're talking about DMs and getting into certain bars and things like that. Like, as somebody who does receive pretty privilege, I can tell you those things are really shallow, and people rarely hit up my DMs. Well, I'm not really on social media like that anyway. So yeah, there's that. And why would you why would you measure your beauty based on if some weird, creepy guy is in your inbox? Do you know what I mean? Like the measure of the male gaze, the measure of pretty privilege that a lot of women have who say they don't have pretty privilege is so shallow. Like it's so, okay, yeah, you get more attention from guys or whatever, but the way I measure my pretty privilege is like, are the children staring at me? I must look really nice today. You know what I mean? Or the animals, how are animals interacting with me and how are other women interacting with me? It's usually negative because women are very competitive with each other. But I noticed that it does help when it comes to getting like job opportunities or business opportunities. I find that it does help with that, but it doesn't end there because a lot of women are looking beyond that. They're looking for personality. Are you kind? Are you charismatic? Are you funny? That's why a lot of women are able to be with men who look like they just crawled out of the darkest crevice of earth, because there are other things and characteristics that women and children look at that isn't objectification. And that's why I say, like, you're not unattractive, you're male-centered. You're trying to look at yourself from the perspective of men, okay? A lot of people, they don't like my channel, okay? They say that I'm obsessed with racial ambiguity. I'm obsessed with pretty privilege, right? But I am actually somebody who is of the belief that anybody can benefit from pretty privilege if they want to. Yes, is it going to take work? Sure. But do you want it or not? You know what I mean? My channel is really a safe space for women who know that they are attractive. My channel is a safe space for people who are confident. It is not for the low self-esteem. So if you have low self-esteem, of course, you're going to find my content offensive because it's going to seem very off-putting when you're listening to somebody who is confident in themselves, who knows that they're attractive, who knows what it takes to do certain things, to elevate yourself within society or within a certain sector of your life. Like, it doesn't have to be all that. Like, I am such an introvert. I'm such a hermit, but I know when to turn it on if I'm trying to receive something. Okay. Call it the lucky girl syndrome, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And I notice a lot of people find my channel offensive because they don't listen to the whole video. Usually the meat and potatoes is right around here, this part of the video. A lot of people only get to about 5 minutes and then they want to judge me based on that, right? And a lot of the time I am speaking in defense of people who look average, okay? And she mentioned that in her video, that being average, you can just be a person. Like, you can just be human. Like, pretty people do get objectified more. They do get dehumanized more. And that's why I've created this space, because this is a safe space for people who can relate. Okay. Even if you feel like you can't relate, hey, listen in, you might be able to glean some very good advice that I have to say, or have to give, right? So I just want us to stop looking at ourselves through the eyes of men, okay? Really, really dissect this, please. Men only see the world through objectification. They only see the world through tool use. They only see the world as, what can I get from this tree, from this water, from this car, from this person? They're looking at the world completely different from women. I feel like women are so much more in tune with nature. We're seeing the world for what it is. We're seeing the world beyond what we can get out of it we're just existing with the world, and men are not. They're opportunistic. They are going to find any kind of way to use things. That is why the earth has literally been, just stripped of her resources and polluted. And they pat themselves on the backs, and they're like, oh, well, we built the world, and we built these buildings, and we built all these things that you use every day, as if we had a choice. You know what I mean? And yes, and you industrializing the world has come at such an immense price, to the point where we're about to run out of resources. Okay, these are the people that you are worried about what they think of you. Like, these are the people you're saying are the measurers of beauty. Like, they wouldn't know beauty if it hit them in the face. Okay, these people who are attracted to minors, oftentimes. Okay, when you decenter your beauty standards away from the male gaze, the whole world is going to become so much more attractive to you. The problem with a lot of women is that they have become so much like men. They are looking at the world through the lens of men, okay? So they're judging other women based on what men think. But I see, as women start to decenter men more and more and more, our body standards are completely different. Our standards of beauty are completely different, decentered of men. Women get to be bigger. Women get to be more alternative. When we decenter the male gaze, women get to be a lot more fluid with their identities and how they show up in the world. See, men are so strict and compartmentalized in their beauty standard. That's why we have a lot of women who are online who all look the same. They all have the same hairstyle. They all wear the same makeup. They all wear the same clothes and shoes and things like that. It's because a lot of their beauty standards are centered around the male gaze, right? They're not centered around the female gaze. You know, sometimes you'll see those videos about like female gaze versus male gaze, right? Well, a lot of the time, it's still not the female gaze, because the female gaze, in my opinion, allows for more alternative aesthetics, right? We're going to see a goth baddie. We're going to see a punk baddie. We're going to see a, bohemian, whimsical baddie. Like, there's so many different types of people, and women are just so much more accepting of that. And I love that about women, okay? I love that women are more accepting of each other, and I wish that more and more women will get decentered of men. And I feel like we're coming to this point in time where we're going to have this huge, stark divide between women. You're going to have the women who are totally like decentered of men, who are living in their truths, who are being whoever they want to be. And then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we're going to have the male worshipers, the women who want to be trad wives, who want to sit at home and talk about my man, my man, my man all day, and who will bash other women for the sake of, whatever the man thinks and whatever the man says, all that weird stuff like that. Okay. And so I totally felt like her video was valid. I listened to it. I listened to the first one, and I listened to the one she just came out with recently. I don't think you can find the first one. I think she said she deleted it in her latest video. But if we're going to measure pretty privilege based on what men think, I think that's where the plot was lost to begin with. And I think there's so many women who relate to content like that rather than relating to content like mine, because a lot of women have not done the work yet. That's the reality I had to open my eyes to, is that a lot of women, This is how they view pretty privilege. So when they see the title of my videos talking about pretty privilege, they're thinking that I'm male centered, when really all of my content, every single video, almost, I make it a point to let my viewers know how I think about men. Like, I don't even consider them when I am getting dressed, when I'm doing anything. And if anything, like, I don't know, I'll link the video here, but I have made an entire video about how to use men's obsession with women and with beauty against them. Okay. Dark femininity. Okay. Like, this is not a male centered platform at all. And so because most women measure their beauty like that, I realize, okay, that's why they're so upset with me. Like, even though I'm giving them advice, even though I am trying to help, even though I'm giving a safe space to beautiful women and women who are confident, women who live in their truths, although so many women are not hearing it because they have the same mindset as, oh, StephCo. It's all about the male gaze. It's all about male attention. It's all about what they think. It's all about how they view the world. I didn't hear anything, okay, about how women are measuring pretty privilege. And some people have said that pretty privilege with women is actually harder. It's harder to get acceptance from other women. And to be honest, maybe because I'm not chronically online, I don't agree. I feel like a lot of people are going to be more brutal and more savage online, and they would never in real life. But from real world, actual reality, using pretty privilege, I can tell you that it's not that bad. Like, it's not so bad communicating with women. I find that with women, they care more about your personality than they care about how you look. Yeah, they might at first be like, you know, and that does not happen a lot. That does not happen as much as you think, okay? But it can, okay? I don't know. Watch my last video about being otherworldly, having exceptional privilege. And yes, sometimes groups of women can be terrifying, okay? But I find that usually they're not, like, day to day, okay? Now, say that they are. If you are just friendly and kind, a lot of women will just soften up, like, almost immediately. The reality is because you're listening to content where the women are talking about, oh, you got to be a B, you got to be mean, you got to be aggressive, like, you have to act like you're, caca don't stink or whatever. I speak against those kinds of videos often in my other videos. That is not the way to use pretty privilege. I feel like when people talk like that, they don't actually have pretty privilege. Like, most of the people that I've seen who actually have pretty privilege, even if they're anonymous, based on what they say, I can tell that they have it, because it's never about having an attitude. It's never about being mean. It's never about being, like, abrasive. It's never about any of that. And I find that you can tell who has the pretty privilege or not based on the way they speak about it. Okay. And I find that this aggressive mentality is also centered around men. I don't know if you heard that plane go by just now, but I live by a military base, so sorry about that. But anyways, yes. So I find that this, like, competitive, aggressive nature, that's masculine. Okay. You guys are making femininity content with masculine talking points. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, if you really are someone who can utilize your pretty privilege and you know how to master it well, I've made videos about that as well. I have an entire playlist dedicated to pretty privilege, you know what I mean, and how to actually use it. And I implore you to go check it out. But I am not obsessed with the male gaze. So I feel like my pretty privilege has just soared, okay? Because I'm not having this insecurity when I am conducting myself with people anymore, because I'm so worried about what men think. right? And I'm so glad that StephCo has overcome the virality of her last video that happened several years ago. I'm glad she's overcome her feelings about pretty privilege, and she says she feels like she knows where she measures up. But I kind of agree and don't disagree. I agree with her feelings being valid, but I feel like if she were to measure herself on a different scale, then maybe she wouldn't feel that way. I don't know. So tell me what you guys think down below. Do comment, share, like, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.